If I ask you how much money you make per hour, nobody knows this in Chile. Nobody. Neither the receptionist knows, neither the person who's cleaning the street, neither I also do not know. Right? We have a big data team, but I do not know. If you come and ask me, how much do I make per hour? I don't know. Very small thing, but you see the implication is so large, right?
Welcome to Direct to Chile, a podcast to understand what it's really like to do business in Chile. I am your host, Amit Navalrai, and I will be speaking in each episode with industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and experts who have already navigated the Chilean market to learn about their stories and successes. We have a special guest today, Amit Sodani. Um, Amit came to Chile, I believe, in 2011 as a banker. And today he is the founder and CEO of Kupos.com. Kupos.com is a platform, both a website and an app, where you can purchase bus tickets or train tickets. And I believe they do over 20,000 tickets a day. They have an incredible record with customers. They have a very easy to use platform, and they have successfully raised funding from top families and big names in the VC space. Um, I think let's just hear from Amit directly. Amit, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation, Amit. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's start from the beginning. Where did you get the idea of Coopers.com?
Wow. You see, there's a very interesting story around it. So, I always wanted to do business in my career. Like, that's how I grew up from ever since I remember that I want to do something about my life. So, when I was graduating, right? So, there was this guy called Deep Kalra, actually. He was the founder and CEO of Make My Trip. This is my graduation days, and Deep was the startup word was not there at that time, and Deep was making Make My Trip, and we would read him in the newspaper here, there.
Did you know him?
Yeah. No,
Did
no,
you
no,
know
no.
this
Deep
guy,
was
Deep?
absolutely. I
Okay.
had no clue about Deep that time. So this is like
So he was
buying.
like an Elon Musk.
He was not exactly Elon Musk because he was also starting up, and this is like I don't know the years exactly, but it was like early 2000, right? The startup word
Okay.
was not there, or late 1990s, right? And I used to buy these international magazines, Entrepreneur and some other magazines, and Deep used to be one of the guy from India, who would constantly be there, who's trying to do something new, and coincidentally, you call it like destiny, luck, whatever, when my during my MBA days, like the guy who became very popular was Fanindra Sharma. Fanindra was the founder and CEO of Red Bus, and I was really crazy about this guy. So I had the opportunity to meet him, and I really loved his personality. Very simple, easy to go with, and everything, right?
This was where? Where did you
And
meet them? In what country?
yeah, I met him in Bangalore, and while all these things were happening, I was working as an investment banker with Deutsche Bank. So with Deutsche Bank, long story short, I came to Chile. I was always looking for like some opportunity, and I saw, oh my God, in Chile, we are so much ahead, infrastructure wise compared to India, and still people are buying the bus tickets, going to the terminal, and all these things. So basically, whatever was done by Fanindra was not like the red bus. Chile never existed. So I picked up the call.
Okay.
I reached out to Fanindra Sharma. Hey man, let's do something together. And that's how it all started. But ultimately, we could not start anything with Fanindra at that time because he was making an exit. But I started anyways.
But why did you come to
So,
Chile? I mean, one thing is you're in Bangalore, you meet
uh
your role model. What brings you 40-hour train, 40-hour flight to Chile?
yeah. So I was supporting Deutsche Bank as an investment banker. They invited me for either New York office or Chile. And now I don't know what
Okay.
is the answer why I did not go for New York. I have no clue. I just chose, let me go for Chile. We were recently married that time. And me and my wife, we decided, let's go for Chile because once you go to New York, it'd be like, impossible to come back to Chile or any other country, right? So we thought, okay, let's hit it for Chile and we see how the life turns out, right? That's how I write to Chile
Did
with
you
Deutsche Bank.
did you know Spanish? Or were you
I,
fluent in
I,
Spanish like you are now?
no, no, I'm still not fluent in Spanish. Huh? So whatever I can learn by just hearing people, that's the only thing that I never put even 1 minute of my time to learn. I don't know Spanish. I don't know somehow
So,
it
so
never
actually,
started.
the question here is, who chooses Chile and Santiago over New York City? Like, your wife approved that decision?
Honestly, I think I mean, looking back, what I remember, it was my wife's decision only. So she was like, Amit, let's go for Chile, and and I thought, okay, why not? Let's go because you can move to New York anytime you want once you're in this space of investment banking and all these things, right? That's how I think it happened.
Okay,
It turned out. So it was more of my wife's decision than my decision.
okay. So then now you're in
Yeah.
Chile, and now the idea, like you got it from Make My Trip. From where did you get the idea?
And so I always had this idea because I always wanted to do business. I was in the private equity space before being an investment banker in India. So I somehow always knew what's happening in the market, what are the new business lines are coming up, right? So when I came to
Okay,
Chile, so I found out this doesn't exist. And the guy who did it in India is the guy who I look up to, Fanindra,
right,
right?
got it.
So why I was taking these two names, Fanindra and Deep. So I was growing up looking up to these two guys, and today make my trip ended up becoming my investor. So Deep is make my trip, and they ended up becoming my investor. And
Wow,
Fanindra, well, is still a very good friend and a mentor. And whenever I go to India, I always meet Fanindra. Like I go to Tirupati Balaji, I meet Fanindra Sharma. And that's the importance of this guy in my life.
got it, got it. So
Yeah.
just give us an idea of Kupos.com today, from a size, from a revenue, whatever metrics you're able to share, just to get an idea of the scale.
Last year, like FY22, we managed, if I count all the platforms that we are managing, because we're different pieces of business, it's not only online. So we managed about $82 million of turnover. That's GMV of the company last year, and we are a EBITDA positive company. So this $82 million GMV that we raised with a very little amount of money that we raised in the history of the company is barely 1.7, $1.8 billion that we raised in the private capital. And we are expecting next year, that means if I think the first quarter of 2025 we should be able to hit $230 million turnover. So this is where we are heading. So our next goal is not for this year, neither is for the next year.
And to understand the businesses you're in, is all the income generated from bus and train tickets, or you have other business segments as well?
No, yeah. So we have a bus, train, transfer. So anything that you can imagine as a frequently used ground transportation services is part of Kupos. So we have bus, we have train. Hopefully, next couple of weeks we're gonna roll out recharge of the VIP card, these transit cards in Santiago, Chile. So anything that is ground transportation and you see is frequently used is part of Kupos. And apart from this, we also have a fintech arm of the company that's called Kupos Pay.
Coupons Pay, that's what, like that's
Yep.
like Mercado Pago of Mercado Libre. That's a wallet, or what is that?
I mean, in simple terms, yes, it's like a wallet. But then, of course, then we have our own niche. We're trying to figure out how to find our own niche in the market and position ourselves. But yes, in general terms, we are also one of the wallet in the market.
Okay, so as an Indian man coming to Chile and accidentally, like, you came via a bank and accidentally starting this business, how did you generate the funds to start this? Are you wealthy family and this is all self-funded? Because you mentioned you got very little funding from other people. So who was the first source of capital?
Yeah, honestly, like Amit, I say no. I was like very desperate that of doing something of my own. So this is not only in Chile, even in India, I was looking for multiple business opportunities because I don't know, for some, maybe coming from a business family, that's the only thing I learned that exists, right? So by the time I started Kupos, I already had 10 years of professional, like full-fledged good work experience. So whatever savings I had, I started with that.
Okay,
On the top of this, I had my boss. He was a managing director of Deutsche Bank that time. He pitched in angel investor in the company.
okay,
So that was the first angel investment from for the company. And then of course, There are a lot of incubation program. We applied to Microsoft Imagine Business Lab. We got that funding and some parts of funding. Then somehow things started moving on, and the funding was never an issue after that.
Okay. So what's the key success factor that Kupos has had? Is it the timing of the market? Is it the technology that was built? Is it the funding or the partners that you've got? What do you attribute your success to?
I don't know. I mean, there cannot be one answer. You cannot attribute one particular things to anybody's success, because see, a lot of things has to come in place for something to happen, right? It can never be just one thing. I think one very important topic here. This is being the emotional part of it. I don't know. Somehow I believe in a lot. I think it's my mom's blessing. I don't know. This is not the part of this culture. I think that really moved a lot. And that really works a lot still today for me. Whenever I'm in trouble or I'm getting into a big business, that always works for me. And of course, the family support, like your wife, but now we have a daughter. If they do not support to you, it's practically impossible to lift a company, right? I mean, you have to work non-stop, like Monday to Sunday, 18 19 hours. And that's a very important part of it. Until your family doesn't support you, it's impossible. On the commercial side, I think it's the right timing of the market, like you mentioned. No, I think we entered at the right time in the right space. So we were
Okay.
the first company to get into this space with the right, and we also got lucky to find the right partners also. If you see our investors portfolio, our directors are very strategic people, right? We have Alberto, he's the CEO of DHL, like for the entire South America. So this is like, when you're sitting on the shoulder of giants and you can see far. So people see me, but people do not see the giants who are giving me the back, right? So that's our story, I think.
Got it. And I think one of your investment partners is the Mercedes dealers, exclusive dealers in Chile. What's the family name? Kaufman?
Yeah, yeah. So they are Mercedes representative in major part of the Latam. I think in 7 or 8 countries, if I remember. Is Kauffman?
Yeah.
Yes. So they are the lead investors in the company.
But they're a car dealership. They're buying now into your company, which sells tickets and trains. What's their strategic reason? What are they looking at?
Yeah, you see, there's a fantastic synergy. So when you talk about Kauffman as a group, right? They are the largest mobility supplier. Like, it's not only about car. I think I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm assuming the car is the smallest segment in their entire business. So I think, for example, in Chile, I don't know if I remember correctly, 70-80% of the ambulance that you see is from Kauffman. It's from Mercedes Benz.
Wow.
I think so one segment of our buses where we operate or we are getting into, I think 70-80% of those buses are from Kaufman. Even in the intercity buses that you take between two cities, they are one of the important market player, right? So
Yeah,
Kaufman is not a typical Mercedes-Benz brand that we see in most of the Asian market. Kaufman is much bigger and larger than just being a car distributor.
got it. So, can you share some experiences about your business in Chile? Like, uh, was it easy? Would you Are you able to compare it to doing business in other countries where maybe, I don't know, India, you have more red tape or maybe more bribes? How have you found operating in Chile from a legal and business challenges?
No, well, I think there's no doubt that starting and kicking off a business in Chile is far more easier and faster and efficient in Chile. I mean, you cannot compare between Chile and India from that particular perspective. Having said that, I know today India is not the same where I lived like 11 years before. So that's an incredible job that India has done. But on the contrary, on the other side, the TAM is very small in Chile, so that's a very big issue. Like you end up entering into a market, you see the time is limited, right? You have 24 hours. So whether you're in India, US, Chile, whatever, and like every other serious founder, right? You work non-stop. You try to maximize your output within those 24 hours, right? And that's everybody's story, right? So, if I today have to circle back and see, one thing that could have given me maybe if I move. So today we move 1 million people every day, and that's 82 million total turnover annually. If I would have been in different market where the TAM is bigger, this 1 million could have been easily 6-7 million just because I'm the bigger opportunity. So when
Sure.
you are in a market like India, Indonesia, China, you are swimming in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the constraint that Chile has. You are always in the loop of struggle of the TAM. No, so the
Yeah.
TAM, unfortunately, that you cannot even control. Also, right?
So I'm guessing you're not a fan of the new law that's going to be probably passed next week in terms of the number of hours you can work legally as an employee. They're going to reduce it from 45 hours a week to 40. What are your thoughts on that?
If you allow me just 2 minutes extra on this topic, I would take this opportunity to maybe clarify, because there are a lot of people. If you see my profile on LinkedIn, like it was like 4 months before, I was literally trolled on every single newspaper media. It went to a level that I had to, like, my board called me for a board meeting to explain, because one of my interview went literally bad. And
Right.
I literally had to shut down my office because I had three media companies sitting in my office. They asked me, I had to give an interview, and it was a mess. I tell you my say on this, and from there to here, you're the first one I'm talking to about this topic.
This is cancel culture.
And I gotta talk, and I'm sure many people have asked me to clarify this, so I gotta take this platform to let me clarify this. I don't know. First, we are not a politician; we are startup businessmen. I think this is very bad. Now I have a beautiful 4 years daughter. I don't want my daughter, and I'm sure you do not want your kids to be a star YouTuber or Instagrammer. That's how I see, right? I do not want them to be a star Uber driver.
Sorry, I disagree. I want my kid to
Okay,
be a Mr. Beast. I want he wants to
okay.
be so. But anyway, why don't we give a background as to why you were cancelled?
I think that interview went on a toss, honestly, but I'm gonna be honest, anyways, here on that. So that I was taken away, like, from the topic because of my Spanish and miscommunication. But here's my say on this topic. Let me take you one step behind. A very simple thing that I'm gonna share with you, and I think the impact is very large, right? Since I'm running and building this company, and there's a millions of dollar investment going on the tech every year. You see, you go and ask in Chile, and I'm gonna ask you the same question very honestly, if you can answer. You go and ask anybody, from somebody who's cleaning the street to a CEO, maybe a mid company like us, to maybe to Kauffman CEO, to anybody, right? Or including you. If I ask you how much money you make per hour, nobody knows this in Chile. Nobody. Neither the receptionist knows, neither the person who's cleaning the street, neither I also do not know. Right? We have a big data team, but I do not know. If you come and ask me, how much do I make per hour? I don't know. Very small thing, but you see the implication is so large, right? You go to US, right? Or the European world. So after World War II, I think what genuinely or generally how the economy started there, the payment by default is every hour how much you're making, right? In US, you go and you ask a carpenter, to a sweeper, to a CEO. Everybody knows how much is they're earning every hour.
Even
And
minimum
that's how you
wage.
see they start.
Minimum wage is set by
Minimum
hour
wage, but
per state.
minimum wage per hour. That is where the difference
Sure.
is, right? So so the moment you know how much I'm earning per hour, how much is the worth of my each hour, I start taking, or that economy start taking, a lot of wiser decisions. I give you two examples. So this is like a couple of weeks before I went to a friend's house. He has this kid just recently getting into a job and everything. So this kid bought I think it's 23-year-old young guy. He bought a mobile of iPhone 14 Pro, something that shit cost, I don't know, 2 3
1.6
million pesos.
1.6 million
Yeah,
pesos.
I don't know, an insane amount of money. I mean, that's a fortune, right? 1.6 million peso on iPhone, and what that guy was doing, he
$2,000.
was $2,000. Imagine, for a mobile phone. I think even if I become a billionaire, I would never invest on that. But that's very personal. So I saw this guy. I observed a very interesting thing. That guy was doing something on his mobile, and I was asking him, "Man, what are you doing?" I was cleaning up my space. I don't have space in my mobile. You see, this young guy who has money, this $2,000 insane amount of money to buy an iPhone. Why doesn't he pay $1 every month to have his photos saved in iCloud? Fucking things are over.
Yeah.
The reason he doesn't do it, because he's not aware how much is the worth of his 1 hour of that time that he's wasting doing activity X versus something else that could be more productive. I give you another example, the last example, right? So, for example, in Kupos, right? My call center literally collapsed, and this is literally collapsed. We have to plan it whenever we come out with a discount of 1,000, 2,000 pesos. Not a big amount of money, only 2,000 peso discount. And we have seen, Amit, you would not believe, people end up, let's say I rolled out a coupon discount code and that discount code expired, somebody published, I don't know, coupon, I think Groupon, somebody published and that doesn't exist anymore. We keep getting calls months after months why that code is not working out. People literally end up wasting 3 or 4 hours of their time
They blame you.
finding out at 1,000 peso discount. And if you see why people does all these things what they do, because they are not aware. In US, I'm sure nobody will waste their time to find a $3 or $10 discount, and wasting 3 hours of their time. So the unit metrics or economics will genuinely not work out, because even a kid is aware what is the worth of his 1 hour time. So, once people are aware, in any country, whether it's in India, Chile, or US, people start taking a lot of wiser decisions about their career and everything, right? You are using your Facebook, you know what cost that dopamine is getting released, right? At least you're aware. Now you are being careful how you're consuming whatever, right? So coming back to Chile's topic on this, so I my perspective on this, what kind of country or what kind of economy we want to build? You want a resilient economy which can go and compete with countries like China, India, where people are really hungry, and we want to grow at any cost, right? So if you end up putting a cap 40 hours, that means you're restricting things, and anything that is restricted, or you put obligation, then things does not work out genuinely. Why doesn't government say, instead of 40 hours a week, your minimum wage is, let's say I'm taking a number, is one UF per hour, and then let people decide how many hours they want to work. Of course, then we can fine tune it a little bit here there. I'm not a politician, and I'm sure there are different angle to it. But whenever you put down, that's how even I have seen in business also. Whenever you put down anything in small metrics, right? That's how you're gonna see if you want to build a really large scale business, you have to go down to very small things that you are fixing in the productivity side or in the money that you're saving. So imagine tomorrow, if you know, or any average Chilean know, man, my minimum salary is 1 UF per hour, then everything will be resolved. I would not complain why Amit is driving a Mercedes Benz. Maybe fucking this guy is driving, working 60 hours a month, and I am working 20 hours a month. That is a decision I have taken. So you do not get into this loop of feeling that I'm discarded, or my apellido or my surname is not the same. I don't have the right opportunity, movement. All this nonsense goes away, right? So that was my stand. Why don't we look out for something more efficient way of doing it?
But how was it taken?
Salary?
Why was it taken the wrong way
No, no.
around? Why?
It was taken like, because I'm from the media took it like, here's the CEO. You can Google it. I think everybody published it. Like, we should not compare Chile with India. People sometimes are insensitive that we, like in India, we are like slaves, and Asian countries, China, there's no work-life balance, this, that. But the reality is, today you are living in an internet world with I don't know, 5G and Web3. There's nothing called Chile. These are only political boundaries, and people will, like, you will have somebody from India driving turbos or Pullman bus buses. That's already happening, right?
Yeah,
So no, they did not take it right that, I am nobody to come and say how many hours Chilean should work. And my response to them, I got emotional. I'm more Chilean than any average Chilean. We pay more than hundreds of millions of pesos of tax every month. So
got it,
if I'm not Chilean, then who's the right Chilean?
got it. So, you know, Amit, I want to get your thoughts since you are in the train and bus business. I think it was 3 years ago, in October, when the social unrest and the riots happened, and the Chileans were burning their own train stations and their supermarkets. And I believe the final straw was when the government announced an increase of, I think it was 60 cents, so under a dollar, in the price of the fare of a ticket, or a train ticket, um,
Of
it,
the transit passes,
of the
briefly.
transit passes. And now you're in that industry, you're in there, you work with trains, the trains are getting burnt, and you're a foreigner in a country where you've been many years and everything was going smoothly under the Pinera presidency. Arguably, not obviously, capitalism doesn't work for everybody, and the poor or the middle income and below were complaining of the disparities. But what did you think? No, did you think that's it? My business is over, and I need to get out of here, or Did you feel unsafe? What did you think about how we handled the government and the people, the crisis of the social unrest?
So one part is I'm a paranoid founder. I always get super paranoid even if I lose a client who's giving me $1 every month. And literally I end up taking a flight of 5 hours to go and meet that client. Why they may not want to continue. So that way I'm very paranoid. Having said that, giving up, I think, is not in the blood or genetics or the attitude. Startup founders are, it's a mindset, right? Every day, it's a very challenging journey, right? You feel sometimes really depressed. And these depressions are not you are in the ocean and there's a music going on. No, these are practical depression, medical depression you go through. But I think, just like any other serious startup founders, giving up, that thought never comes, right? We'll make it work. We do not know how to give up. And I don't really give a fuck to what the government is doing because I'm not selling Dolce Gabbana, neither I'm selling Mercedes Benz. What I'm selling is a ground transportation. The day the entire country gets burned, then my business will stop because you need buses, you need transit, you need transport to go to the airport, right? So what we are doing is at the bottom of the pyramid, right?
Yep.
So the day a business like Kupos goes in a toss, I think that day the entire country has to go in toss, right? I mean, anything can get impacted. Falabella to retail stores, but ground transportation is the heart or is the heart of any economy, right?
So you would say
So
you're
that
in a
way, no.
so you say you're in a recession-proof industry like healthcare and education?
Oh, it's opposite actually. Whenever we have seen in the past, whenever there's a recession, our business it grows inversely.
Oh
So we are
wow.
inversely proportional. Yeah. So you are in recession, you do not have money, you cannot take a flight. So how will you travel? You people will travel with more with transit, more with public transportation, or more with the buses. Much economic way of traveling, right? So you
Got it.
see economic recessions or the pandemic also we multiplied our business by 4x in pandemic. So I mean, with all
Fantastic.
the bad things about pandemic, from the business perspective, it was the best thing for us.
Yeah. Can you elaborate a little bit about any business model or metrics? For example, I'm curious if a bus ticket costs, I don't even know what a bus ticket costs, but if a bus ticket costs, say, $10, how much of that
Mhm.
goes to Kupos? How much of that goes to the bus company? How much does the bus driver get? Can you just walk me through the margins, please?
I cannot share the exact margin, but I can give you a very good idea so that the audience can
Sure.
understand, get a sense of the business, right? So first, our industry is called OTA, like online travel agent. We are travel agent. Just like 20 years before, you had to go to a physical travel agent like Coach or somebody.
Yeah.
Since we have internet, we became travel agent, but online. So OTA is the industry.
Okay.
So in the OT industry, bus ticketing is one of that space where still you have very good margins. Like in the airlines, just to give you a perspective, there are no margin. Most of the airline does not give you any commissions. So you see Despegar or Expedia, they end up charging you a convenience fee at the end of the transactions, right? In
Sure.
our case, we have a healthy margin. It could be between average commissions could be around 7 to 8% on every bus ticket that we transact. Now, of
7
course,
to
we have some
8%
clients who are
or
paying us
gross
12, fifteen
margin.
percent also.
Gross margin on the value of the ticket.
7 to 8. Yes, on the value of the ticket, on the value of the ticket.
Value of
So
the ticket.
when you
Okay.
buy a ticket of, let's say, I don't know, 100 peso, we get 7 peso. So 7 8% roughly is our commission on the bus ticket. And the settlements are pretty easy. If I sell a ticket of 100 peso next day, so we did not take any financial exposure from any bus operator. So whatever ticket we sold today, next day we're going to transfer the money to the operator, the balance amount, that in this case 93 peso, let's say, and the rest 93 pesos for the bus operator. So very simple metrics, nothing complicated here.
Okay. Got it. And is it the same for trains?
No, so in train we have more thicker margin because you see, like I said, bus the TAM is much bigger. Bus is a $700 million market annually in Chile. Train does not even reach, I think, 50, if I remember correctly, but the TAM is very small. So whenever the TAM is small, obviously the margins are very thick. Otherwise, who would digitize an industry where the overall market size is 10, 15, $20 million? There's no business, right? So naturally,
Got it.
that's why the train, we have much thicker margin. In airport transfer, our margins are almost double than what we make in the bus industry.
Got it. Got it. Um, can you tell me a little bit about your team? I met your lovely co-founder last month when I came to your
Ah,
office. How did you meet her? And what does she do? How do you split up the roles?
I should have answered this thing. Maybe I should have added it in your first question. This company, one of the biggest contribution of building this company, the backbone of this company is my co-founder. I think I'm super lucky to have Cecilia as my co-founder, and we very well complement also each other. So you see, I'm very bad on making things organized, and I'm a very dispersed guy, maybe doing 30 things in one shot. She's the one who keeps the company in order, in place. The HR policies has to be right, and I mean, anything that you see is fine tuned in the company. If you like our UI, our experience in the website, everything 100% credit goes to Cecilia. So
How did
she
you meet her?
is the girl who does all the things. Yeah,
How did
yeah,
you meet?
she's I think she's a leader. How did I meet her? Yeah, so she, just like I came from India, she came from Venezuela with all the issues going on in Venezuela. I think she came to Chile in 2014, 15, I guess. And
Okay.
I think she went through multiple interviews. I'm very lucky that all the companies rejected her interviews. She came to my office. Again, you see, these are destiny, right? The HR recruitment company, when I recruited Cecilia as a co founder of this company, so Cecilia is my co founder, the HR company who I hired to find my co founder or my CEO or executive, right? When I said I want to hire this girl and not the other candidate, they made 4 or 5 calls to me. You are making a wrong call because we did psychological tests, we did everything. She is far from being a co-founder and running and building a company. You have to have an extreme appetite of consuming stress, and she's a very introvert girl and everything. I don't know. I had a positive gut feeling about this girl in the first instinct I met her, and I knew that this is the girl with who this is my partner with who I want to build the business. So I take care of the commercial and the numbers and the funding and all this and the strategic part in the business where we're gonna move.
Got it.
So I drive that business from that side, and she's the one who's managing operation the entire business.
Got it. I'm with you. Most of the people that I've hired, we're about 60 employees in my company. My gut has worked well. However,
Yeah.
there are instances where the gut just blows blows up, and it's a big mistake. And I can't even say I learned from each one because each candidate and what the company needs at every phase of their growth is so different. But I think you just roll the dice and go with it. It's just go with your gut. So where is Kupos headed? What is the target? Horizontal expansion, geographic expansion? What's the empire? What's the plan?
You see, we are in like our position right now is like a battlefield, right? We are moving every side. So we are trying to acquire a company. So geographic expansion, we're looking more on an M&A side. I mean, we're trying to see if we can acquire a company.
Which
We have
countries?
targeted 1 2 companies in Peru and Colombia. I
Peru and
think Peru
Colombia.
is personally, yeah, yeah. So Peru first, and if we can combine both this market together, fantastic. We are looking for a strategic, very small investment. We're thinking, this is completely my call. Let's say, I don't know, if annually we are running around 28 to 30 million dollars, like total cost that we are running to run this show. We want to put 10% of our show in Venezuela also. That's an initial thought we have. This is like, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 years down the line. If Venezuela opens up, I think there's a big opportunity lying there. But
Sure.
immediately we're looking into Peru. And in terms of the business verticals, we see a massive opportunity in the fintech side. So that is where I think we have closed already a couple of very promising business. So when I say FY25, first, we should be able to hit 230 to $250 million GMV. Majority of it would come from come from Kupos Pay, the fintech arm of the company. So mobility and fintech, combining these two, we are building our next part of the business.
Can you elaborate on the fintech side? I mean, I understand the buying of tickets of trains and buses and the expanding to Peru and Colombia, but in terms of
Mhm.
fintech, what's the direction? What are we looking at? Are we adding crypto? Are we allowing the users that buy tickets since they have money on the app, allowing them to trade that money or buy bonds? What are we looking at? What's the play?
Yeah, so I think so. When we built Kupos Play, it was an accidental venture. We're trying to resolve a completely different topic, and now it had ended up becoming a very strong part of our internal case study in the company. Why don't we promote it? That's how we started Kupos Pay. And now I'm not a big fan of crypto or anything that sounds complicated. I try to keep myself away. I work very much in the, like, class 6 7's maths. I think for business, that's all you need. You don't need crypto and all these complicated things. So what we're doing, so our existing wallet, of course, it's a much better user experience. We have much better control. You can check out much in a frictionless manner and everything. And we are also, it also helps us roll out many programs that helps us retain the clients. For example, instead of giving a direct discount, we are offering cashbacks and all those things, right? So that's one part of it.
Got it.
Second part
So
of it, so
loyalty,
we have already
loyalty.
dedicated loyalty programs and
Yeah,
everything, so it's no
got it.
brainer. Having your own wallet, you can really create a much better and solid loyalty program rather than giving a pure discounts, right? So a pure discount does not generate loyalty, right? It's just cashback and this thing. So second part of the business, so I happen to be in a situation like 2 3 years before, when I went to a couple of big guys like like Bank of BCI and Palavela, and I asked them to give me a some regulatory backup that is required to run my wallet. So I asked them, it's an interesting story. Why you don't guys give me a back and you fight your battle with AFA, right? On the retail side of it with Mercado Pago, you're fighting a big giant there, and Match is also there. And let me get you the transportation part of the business, which I understand better than anybody else in Chile, or better than definitely with these guys,
Sure.
right? And their response was, this look, Amit, why should I give you back? We want to be the shark in the market. Why would I make you the shark? Then I tried to convince them, you should be that ocean in the market, this famous say from Satya Netherlands, and let me be the shark.
Yeah,
Imagine Android is an ocean, right? And I let me be that shark. One day that ocean dies, the shark is anyways gonna die. I could not convince them, but then I did what I believed in. So today, Pullman Bus, let's say the biggest bus operator, second biggest bus operator in the country, they have a wallet called Pullman Pay, which is, so we are the Android, the entire technology is powered by us. I think one of the biggest logistics company in country is called Starken. So Starken is launching a wallet called StarPay, completely powered by Kupos Pay. With Kauffman, we are rolling out Kauffman Pay, and like this, we have a couple of big guys. And if we turn around everybody the way we are expecting, by 2027, we should be able to hit 1.6 billion dollar GMV in the company with all the companies that we are talking to,
fantastic.
that will be going through our wallet. Then we are also looking at some banking license, not like pure banking license, but we want to get into a microfinancing business as well with the Kupos Pay. We see extremely large opportunity in that segment of the business also. That's pretty much So we are kicking off being focused in the transportation logistics industry, solving their problem. Not only as a payment enabler, we are giving them a lot of product features that can help them, I don't know, boost their sales or retain their customers and or other logistics issues, whatever they have.
Got it.
And then the second part of it is microfinancing or getting into banking business.
Got it. So with microfinancing and with Kupos Pay, and especially being the back engine of these big blue chip brands, I'm assuming it doesn't hurt your valuation. What's the exit? Are we looking IPO or do we have a strategic partner in mind? And do we have a time frame?
This part, I always want to build a rock solid company. So making an exit is never in my mind. I mean, the exit will happen the day I don't feel like continuing this business. And if I 2 3 months consistently, if I think that no, I'm not enjoying anything or I'm not contributing anymore, I think that would be the exit of me as a company. Luckily, we have built a solid company. Hopefully, unless and until we screw up a big level, I think it's a very important company even for the government of Chile also, with the magnitude of the business. That today, if you switch off Kupos, most likely 60 70% of the bus companies in Chile or entire north of Chile, in that case, 80% of the north of Chile will shut down. They will not be
Wow.
able to operate or sell any tickets. That's the magnitude of the business.
Is that because you are their back end and you are their technology
Yeah,
partner for those?
we are the back end. Yeah, we are the back end. We're the technology provider. We are the biggest sales channel. We move like 60 70% of sales of for a lot of companies, and which are very important. So that way, I think we built a really a solid company which has a lot of reasons to exist, not only for the company and its investor, even for the government, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Now, in terms of, I don't know. I mean, personally, coming from investment banking, I would love to get this company listed in Nasdaq, or in the appropriate market wherever we see a fit. We got some opportunity to get it listed in the Chilean stock, Santiago Stock Exchange, and I had a visit to last year also. I think the early second half of last year, I had a small visit to Nasdaq to see what it takes for you to get into Nasdaq. So I think we still have to get at least 4x growth in the company with what we have. to get listed in Nasdaq and to sustain it.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's a whole different ball game in terms of the information you got to disclose quarter to quarter. I mean, right now,
Yeah.
what is your board? What is your financial disclosure? How often do you meet the investors?
So we have a big six company now. Next year, maybe we're gonna go for a big four who's already on the top of the company, who's doing due diligence and checking our accounting, auditing, and everything. And honestly, the reporting part is a commodity, right? You can hire any good accounting company in US. It comes as a package, and they will take care of everything. So my job, more than reporting and all this nonsense, is about is business, right? Ultimately, you will sustain in Nasdaq not because of somebody is reporting poorly or betterly, because your numbers are not going south. If your number going south, you could be Google and you would be out of Nasdaq, God knows, in a very short period of time. So I always see very much commercially everything. So I think the sustaining this listing in Nasdaq is very costly. I think it costs $8 to $10 million minimum if you get listed in Nasdaq. So the minimum cost and lightweighted things and everything. There are multiple way you can get the company listed. So there's pick model. So with that, $10 million, I think is not worth it for me to go and get listed for what? We are already an EBITDA positive
I,
company, so we don't have a cash problem.
Sorry, what I meant was more
So
in terms of you are the strategy guy. You are obviously part of your board of directors and you are the decision maker. My question is I don't know the level of stake you own versus the investors, the Kauffmans, and the other entities that have invested, but how often do you meet and present? Okay, this is what I've done the last 3 months. This is where I want to go the next 3 months, 6 months. This is the budget I need. Do you need to get approval of your investors to finance a project? Or you're still at the stage where whatever Amit Sodani says, we go.
yeah, honestly, none of them are true. I meet my investors like very frequently,
Yeah,
but so we got into this, I don't know, a little bit situation. I So look, this is my journey, right? Anybody who's investing, they have to believe. They are not investing in Kupos, they are believing in the founder. Unless tomorrow there's a professional CEO like Satya Nadella you have, in this case is different. So this is my journey, this is my vision. I do whatever fucking I want to do. So
okay,
I let my directors to come and interfere when my numbers are going south, or of course somebody is doing a fraud in the company. So
got
the
it.
only thing I owe to my investors is their return on their investment.
Okay,
Beyond this, I don't owe them any my time, any board meeting, nothing. I mean, we have board meetings, but when we have something really important to discuss, but we do not go like a structured company. First week of every month we have to meet for. No, I don't want to be in the classroom. So
yeah, and the numbers
sorry,
haven't
go
gone
ahead.
south yet. So as of now,
I've
you've
been
not had.
lucky that number
Yeah,
hasn't been gone south so far. So I've been very lucky that sometimes this shit works out. This attitude works out. But I think it's
yeah,
good for the company and the investors also, right? Why would you invest in a company and monitoring a founder like a kindergarten student?
got it.
I think if tomorrow, if I invest in a company, right, I want my CEO to go and do every shit. He should not even call me. The only thing he should call me, Amit, my stock price is 3x more. You want to make an exit or not? That's the
Got
only
it.
peace of mind I want.
Got it.
Ultimately, I have to build the business, right?
So that leads me to a couple of other questions, Amit. If you were to start all over again, uh, let's assume that you chose Chile instead of New York again, but you've had the 10 years experience of Chile, and you were to start in another category, or you would start another business, and somebody gave you $10 million or a checkbook without any funds, what would you do? Would you do the same thing all over again? Or is there a business that you found in Chile, an opportunity that's even sexier?
You see, I read it somewhere. I forgot from where I read it. It's a very interesting case. What I would do now. This is maybe it's not the good thing, the best thing to say because of the business that I'm running.
Go
There's
for
a
it.
concept of I heard from. It's called a Delta Four model, right? Very simple way of understanding any business. You see, you put every startup, anything that you can think of in your life, in one, two, three, 4 to 10. These are just number, and assume delta is four above is a delta and four below is another. So you see any business, for example, one of my biggest learning of what business you have to get into are the business where your gross margins are extremely high or which are not price sensitive. For example, if I have to just give you a perspective, right? I think a company like or like HBS, like Harvard Business Schools or Louis Vuitton or Gucci and all these things are delta 8, 9, 10, either because of their user experience or because of the as a consumer, when you buy or when you get into an HBS, right? You think that socially you are in a much better position than you were before, right? I give you another example. Let's say your life before and after Uber. You see, so Uber is like Delta 6, maybe HBS is Delta 8, because even if HBS increase their tuition fee by 2x, they will still have thousands of people standing outside their queue and they will still be looking forward to get into HBS, right? Or water, whatever, right? Same thing with Louis Vuitton or anything, right? Uber could be Delta 6, 7, because, I mean, once I started using Uber, I think I have never gone back to taking a taxi because it really significantly changed the way I was before Uber and after Uber, right? So some companies like us, look, ultimately what I'm doing, this is again the issue of the price per hour that I said, right? What am I'm selling? I'm selling you a Pullman Bus bus ticket, right? I'm selling a Turbus bus ticket. So Pullman, Turbus, or any of these bus companies are not influenced by me. Tomorrow, Amit, you can, I don't know, somebody X guy can also launch a website against me with, I don't know, $10 million extra funding, giving a discount. Same case in a market like Chile, give 2,000% discount, and people will not go to Kupos with all the legacy of brand, good service, and good thing experience that we are giving. People will end up wasting 2 hours time to go and buy because ultimately they're buying a Pullman bus ticket or a Turbus ticket, right? So there, I think it's a big learning. You do not get into a business, where you do not control the end to end, the experience, or this delta flow. Your delta should be there in terms of experience or the value that you are adding, in terms of lifting people's social status should be very high. So basically, any business where you have that extremely high gross margin is is, is the business to get into. For example, you get into fuel pump, right? You get into Copec or Shell, whatever, right? Do you ever thought, oh, today I'm going to get my car, fuel? It's not an experience, like it's always a burden. Oh no, I have to go and put fuel.
Yeah,
And I'm sure if you have two fuel pump, one is Petrobras, one is Shell, one is giving you 100 peso less price, you will get into that fuel pump, right? So you see, they're not adding much value there. Basically, you're buying a 93 category of gasoline, whatever, right?
sure.
So these are bad business to get into.
I have a extremely low gross margin, and I second that. But like you said in the beginning, we don't give up. It's not in our DNA.
Yeah, no,
So
definitely.
so we make it work.
yeah,
Yeah. One thing,
yeah.
do you lose sleep in terms of what's happening to our government here going socialist? That one day they might get up and say, you know what? All the bus and train companies are now owned and run by the government. We're taking over and we're lowering the prices because it's a commodity and it's for the good of the economy. And therefore, your 7-8% gross margin all of a sudden becomes 1 or 2% because of the price drop. Is that something that you've thought about or you lose sleep over, or you don't see that ever happening in Chile?
Honestly, I mean, not much. My thoughts are more of on the personal side because now I'm a father. I always think that my daughter grows up in a wonderful environment, not in a bad environment or communist or less out. I really want her to understand that she has to work hard and her ass off to be whatever she wants to do in her life, right?
Yeah.
But on
So
the
you
business
sleep
side,
well.
personally, I think, yeah. No, no,
So
I
you sleep
don't.
well.
But my I do not sleep well because maybe of my daughter, my personal reason. From the
Yeah.
business perspective, I have my own stress of the business, but that is not the reason not to sleep well because I think financially I'm done with my life.
Okay.
I think I have already made enough money. So financial issues would not be there anymore in my life unless and until I have an aspiration to go and buy a helicopter. I don't want to buy that. I think financially, I think I can pay my bills. I have enough savings already to go and pay for my kids, her graduations and everything. So that way, I
HBS?
have nothing much to do. Huh?
Your daughter's HBS is covered?
I hope she makes to HBS, and I hope HBS also remains relevant by that time. Maybe kids stops going to school or colleges by that time.
What do they have?
God
80
knows.
billion down? $80 billion endowment? Something like that?
Yeah. These
HBS?
guys are one of the biggest. Yeah, financial.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a massive. Their funding size also they have.
Yeah. I have three kids.
Amazing.
Well, I have two kids today and a third in July. So I agree. Every decision I make today is about them. And actually, even though this podcast is called Direct to Chile, I'm always thinking, is Chile the best place for my children to grow up? Where will they in 15, 20 years when they're in the job market, or want to start their own business, where will they be? Where are their chances for them to be more successful? Is it the USA? Is USA still going to be with Silicon Valley the place to be? Or is India finally going to be the dream that we all want it to be? So it's a question I ask myself as well every day, literally. What are your thoughts?
Look, to be honest, Chile as it is today, or maybe 3 years before, is the best country to live in the world. I would love my daughter to grow up in Chile, and I think it's a wonderful country, except
Okay.
for some things that are going south in Chile that bothers us. But I think, like you say, 10 years. If I go back, if I have to choose between New York and Chile, I will always choose Chile above any other country in the world for anything.
Wow.
Chile, I think, both. This is true. I think for my wife also, we both love Chile. I think we,
Yeah.
and that's why we're very much emotional about certain things that happen in Chile. Oh man, why are they screwing up these things?
Yeah.
I think the best thing that happened to our life is being in Chile.
Santiago greater than New York City. I think that's going to be the title of this episode because that's eye catching enough. Yeah, Amit. Before we wrap up, we're running out of time. Tell me about yourself, Amit. Tell me something that you believe that others don't. Tell me what you're reading. Tell me what you're doing for exercise. How does somebody get to know you?
I don't know. I mean, I think I don't have any special like anything in life. I have very few selected friends. Like these are like you can count them on the fingers. Most of them are like just my investors who I meet. So I don't have any such social life. I have two, three Indian friends here, there, and that's all.
Yeah.
Either I think. So I don't have any social life. So my social life, whatever little bit I have, is thanks to my wife because she's extremely or very well active socially. So my life is like office to home, home to office, and I thoroughly enjoy it. In terms of study, also I read only things that are related to business.
Mhm.
So I don't go and read anything that where I cannot contribute anything to business. So I don't know. I just love doing business and doing something with money and commercial, right? And what else? I have another part of it where I really believe it in a lot. This Asian culture where we really believe in the blessings and everything. So I think 90% of whatever I am is because of I don't know, maybe my mom's blessing or something. There are some people who blessed you, and I don't know if they pray for you, whatever you call it, and it always works out, right? When there are two, three people who are your well wisher, and they're always thinking of how you can become, I God knows, next Dhirubhai Ambani or whatever, right? That's another part, and the last part, we I always believe in giving back into the society. So hopefully, if I make it a little bit important or significant enough, uh, we would definitely want to, as a family, contribute to do something really constructive for Chile. Maybe, I don't know, donating for opening of a school or a hospital or something. So that's the next in the pipeline we have. How we can, since we got so many things from Chile, from this country, right? Whatever I have, we came with almost nothing in this country, and today I think, thanks to God, we're well off. I mean, we're good. We have bread, butter, we have enough food and things to take care of. No, so it's our time to give back whatever we can to Chile as a country.
Got it. Well, Amit, I want to thank you for participating in today's episode with me. Is there a
Thank you for the invitation.
is there an email, an Instagram, or Twitter? Is there anything that you want to give if somebody wants to reach out to you? Do you want to give any contact details?
I'm inactive on social media, honestly. But
Inactive?
on LinkedIn, I'm active. I'm very much inactive on social media. But on
Okay.
LinkedIn, I go very frequently there because I read all my news and everything on LinkedIn. But I think Sodani Amit everywhere. If I exist in Instagram, it should be Sodani Amit, and in Facebook also it will be like my ID would be Sodani Amit.
Okay.
But but on LinkedIn,
Well,
yes, I'm pretty much active.
Amit, I wish you and Kupos.com all the best. I think you have a phenomenal growth story. I think you're contributing not just to yourself and your employees, but to the whole society of Chile. I don't take the bus or trains over here, but I know how important they are to the country. And I want to thank you again for participating in this episode with me. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation, Amit. Really appreciate it.
You've just heard another episode of Direct to Chile, a podcast where we learn what it's really like to do business in Chile by speaking to industry leaders and entrepreneurs like Mr. Sodani that we've just heard from. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please subscribe on the button below you, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.